Hi, Year One. Last week in science, we considered the key inquiry question. Do you think everyone has the same access to electricity? Why or why not? And we finished the lesson by watching a video about a woman in another country who didn't have access to electricity. Remember, electricity is what causes our lights to turn on. It keeps our refrigerator running. It gives us air conditioning and heaters. If we didn't have electricity, we wouldn't have any of those things in our house. We wouldn't be able to have a fridge. When it's cold, we can't just turn the heater on. We would just feel very cold in our homes. So our question about do you think everyone has the same access to electricity, why or why not, is what's going to be driving our learning today in our science lesson. This week, we're going to be revisiting that key inquiry question and using our STEM thinking brain. Now, STEM means science, the S stands for science, technology, the T stands for technology, engineering, and maths. And today, you're going to get to create an invention that can help deliver electricity to those in need. That means people who don't have the same access to electricity that we have. We are very blessed and fortunate and lucky in Australia. God has been very good to us. We have lots of electricity in our house. And so we have things like fridges and heaters and air conditioners and lights so that we can see at nighttime. But not everyone has that. So we will be creating our very own inventions today, just like this little boy is, to try to help them. When somebody does not have access to electricity, that's called energy poverty. And you can see here in this picture what it might look like to live in a house that has no electricity. Would you like to live like that? Have a look. Do they have the same cooking appliances maybe you have in your kitchen? This is this girl's kitchen. Does it look same or different? Her light comes from this window. Does she have any other lights that she can just switch on at the wall? Can you see my light switch there? Does she have any light switches can you see in her home? Poverty is when somebody is extremely poor, very, very poor. Maybe they don't have a house to live in. Maybe they don't have electricity or lights to turn on. Maybe they don't have enough food to eat or clothes to wear. Or maybe every day they don't have any water in their house. They don't have taps. It's a luxury, you want to have running water, showers, toilets, dishwashers, clothes washing machines, water to drink from a tap in our house. We're very, very blessed to have that. Not everyone does in the world. Some people every day have to take a bucket and walk a long, long way to go to the one tap that their city has or their town or village has and fill up as much water as they can and then carry it. They're really, really heavy buckets all the way home. And when they run out of that water, they have to walk all the way back. Do you think you might get very tired doing that? Even small children do that in some countries. They don't get to go to school because they're so busy trying to stay alive by getting enough water to drink, maybe working on a farm to try to find enough food to eat. That's called poverty, when someone's really, really poor. The Bible tells us actually a lot about poverty. We can look into the Bible to find out what God thinks about lots of different topics and also what God demands of us as his people, how we should react. In the book of the Bible called Proverbs, in chapter 31, verse 8 to 9, God tells us, "Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of all who are destitute," that means poor. "Speak up for them and judge fairly. Defend the rights of the poor and the needy." That means we should help people who are poor. We shouldn't just ignore them. Do you think that would be very kind? Do you think that's what God wants from us? No, the Bible tells us that if we love God, we can show God that we choose to live our life for him by serving his people. God loves everyone in the world. He loves rich people and poor people. And so if we have lots and lots of blessings, maybe we have some money, we have enough food to eat, we have enough clothes to wear, Every person in our class really is very, very blessed. We're what's considered rich in the world. Then we should be using that money and our opportunities that God has given us to help serve those that don't have as much as us. And that will show God that we love him. That's a way to love God and to serve him. In the Bible, in Matthew, in the New Testament, when Jesus comes to earth, it says, Jesus answered, if you want to be perfect, I want to be perfect. Sure. God, what do I do? Go and sell your possessions. That means everything you own, and give to the poor. Then you will have treasure in heaven. And then Jesus says, come and follow me. So to be perfect in God's eyes, we need to follow Jesus. That's the most important thing. And God also gives us the command to give to the poor if we choose to follow him. There's a story in Genesis 8 in the Old Testament, very, very early on. If you open your Bible, it's right at the beginning of the Bible, about two Bible characters named Abraham and Sarah. Shake if you remember them. Abraham and Sarah were very old and they wanted a baby. Sarah was almost 100 years old. Can you imagine your great-great-grandma having a baby? But she couldn't have a baby, and her husband prayed and prayed to God, saying, please, Lord, please give us a baby. And one day, Abraham was sitting out the front of his tent, and they lived in a climate that was really hot and dry, a bit like a desert. And Abraham could see some strangers. He didn't know these people approaching his tent. And they looked like they were very thirsty. Maybe they had been walking through the desert for days. And they looked like they were very hungry. Maybe they were getting all thin because they hadn't eaten in so long. And they had sweat going off their face. They looked like they were very hot. So Abraham had two choices. And often we have choices in life to honor God and do what he would want us to do, or to disobey God and do the wrong thing. Abraham could say, hi, strangers, I don't know you, but come into my house and I'll give you food and water, and you can have a sit down on a comfy chair and a rest. That might have been a bit uncomfortable for Abraham because he didn't know these people. It's like inviting a stranger that you see in the street into your house. It might not be safe. He didn't know if it would be safe, if they were good or bad people. But that is the choice in this case that would honor God. Or Abraham had the choice that he could maybe put his head down, pretend I didn't see them, and ignore them and just let them walk past. What do you think Abraham did? We know that Abraham was a man that honored God and made decisions that pleased the Lord. So, of course, Abraham invited them into his tent and he said, here's some food and some water. In fact, he went in and said, Sarah, make some fresh bread because we have guests. And then he went and got one of his animals and he cooked it up for a nice smoky barbecue, yum, 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 to serve to his guests. He gave these guests the best of what he had, even though he was living in a tent in a desert and really may not have had very much at all. Whatever he had, he tried to extend in hospitality and love to his guests. And do you know what? Can you see a little picture clue here? What do these guests have above their head? Who do you think they might be? Abraham has human eyes, and human eyes cannot see angel halos above someone's head. But these people were actually angels. Abraham didn't know that. He couldn't see these. They've just drawn these in so we know that they were angels. These men, these strangers wandering the wilderness, were actually angels in disguise sent to earth from God. And so without even knowing it, Abraham entertained angels in his house. By being loving and caring and choosing to do what God would want him to do, by caring for the poor and the thirsty and the hungry, he was caring for God's own angels. Before we get to this, in the New Testament, in Hebrews, it says maybe you have entertained angels in disguise. Have you ever thought of that thought? Maybe by being kind to others and showing God's love to strangers, you don't know which of those strangers actually has a secret angel halo and might be an angel in disguise. That's why God commands us to care for the poor and love everyone no matter what, for you never know when you're entertaining and caring for angels in disguise. All right, today we're going to, like I said, be thinking about how we can care for poor people in light of what we know God commands us to do when we love Him by thinking through some STEM design thinking. On Seesaw, when you click the activities light bulb, you will see a STEM Kids journal that I have uploaded for you. And I'm going to show you over here on Google what that looks like on Seesaw. So you need to click this light bulb that says activities, and it will come up STEM Design Process Journal. You need to click Add Response, green plus button, to go in and start creating your very own invention. Now, this document has lots of pages, 7 pages, so you'll see those pages down the side. You actually need to click to go to the next page because the first page is like front cover. All right, let me show you what you're going to do today. You're going to work through each of these pages, filling out the questions. This says, what is the problem? What is the problem we've looked at today? Thinking specifically about electricity and energy. I'm going to click T for text and drag my box once I'm down onto the line. I'm going to write a full sentence. So starting with, the problem is that not everybody has the same access to electricity. Some people are poor and do not have lights, air conditioners, etc. If I click over here, I can now stretch my box out, stretch him out using these dots. I can make him smaller using the ones on the corners, and I can change his color and put him underneath the question, what is the problem? So you need to answer this question today. If you want to type, click T for text. If you want to write, click the pencil and write on the lines. You could also click the microphone and you can just speak your answer to me and the teachers will listen to what you have to say. That's fine. You don't have to write it. Why is this a problem? Why is it a problem that not everyone has the same amount of electricity? I'm going to write again in a full sentence. This is a problem because, remember, because is a joining word, so it always has to go in the middle of the sentence. I cannot start a sentence with the word because. This is a problem because it's unfair that some people have lots of electricity, and others do not. Some people, actually, let's write, if you don't have electricity, you can't have a fridge or a heater or lights at night. And that's not very good, is it? So that is a problem. That's why it's a problem. Do you think it's very safe not to have lights at night? Or do you think maybe a bad guy might come in if you don't have lights to scare them away? Do you think you might hit your toe on more things? That is definitely a problem. All right, the next page, you need to click on the sidebar to go to the next page. The next page is where you're going to get to brainstorm lots of different solutions. Now, you don't have to fill up all the boxes, but there's lots of boxes for you to think of as many different solutions as you can. A solution is a way to solve the problem. Again, you can use the pen to write, click T for text, or if you don't want to write, click the microphone and just tell me, list as many solutions with your voice as you can. Some of my solutions, actually, I don't even want to tell you. I'm just going to write one solution. One solution might be we could run big, or we could create big electricity pipes all the way from Australia, taking our electricity to people who need it. Maybe that's a solution. What other inventions might you make to help get electricity to people who need it? I'm going to put that in one bubble. I want you to think of as many ways to get electricity to people who don't have electricity as you can. Next page. This is where you get to start creating your own inventions. So You get to name your invention. Often I like to create my invention first and then go back and give it a name after I know exactly what my invention is, because I'm not quite sure yet. What is it? Again, you can T for text, write with the pencil, or just do the microphone and tell me with your voice, because this isn't about writing today. It's about brainstorming inventions and ideas and solutions to the problem. So what is my invention going to be? I'm going to write big pipes under the ocean carrying electricity overseas to people who don't have any. Make it small, drag it under that question. How does it work? Maybe from our houses, I'm just going to tell you, but this box would go here. Maybe from our houses, we can have an extra plug that takes some of the electricity that we don't need and puts it underground, carries it out across the oceans to people who need it. Remember, you don't have to think, would this actually work? I just want you to be creative and think of some cool ideas. How does it solve the problem? Well, it gets electricity from us who have more than enough to people who don't have enough. Remember, this is just my idea. I want you to come up with your own. If you can't think of any, you can use my idea, but I'd love to hear your own creative juices. Name your invention. I'm going to call it electricity pipelines. Box up there. Outline persuasively why you feel this solution or invention is the best. So out of all these different options, you're going to choose one solution that you're going to create today. And on this page, go into more detail about that invention. And on this page, either with the microphone or the T for text or with writing or with drawing, tell me persuasively. That means you're trying to convince me why you think this solution is really, really good. I might write, I think, full sentence, this solution is the best because it can carry large amounts of electricity efficiently across the ocean. Underneath the ocean, really. Next page. Remember clicking down our pages on our sidebar. Design. It says it's time to design your invention. This is where you're going to draw. So on this page, you do need to use down here some of the pencils. You can change the color on the sidebar to draw what your invention might look like. So for example, I might have the waves. This is the ocean. And I might have my pipelines underneath the waves carrying my electricity. I might have my house in Australia over here. And the pipes come up and they get my extra electricity, take it under the ocean, and come up overseas to people who need it. I'm going to draw my people who need it here. Now, in science, we talk about labeled diagrams. So you might like to go in with the T for text to make your diagram even better and label the different parts with some words. So I might write my house, electricity pipelines, ocean. See how I'm labeling the different parts of my diagram? It's called a labeled diagram. Person without electricity. But he's going to have electricity now with my fabulous invention. I've just created a labeled diagram. I would love you to do the same, please. Down the bottom, you can write materials list, or you can tell me with your microphone, what materials would you need? So I would need big pipes. I would need some fiber optic cables to carry my electricity. You can write what you might need down there. Next page, page 7. Oh, there's 8 pages. Page 7 says construction time. You're going to get to build a model out of recyclable materials. So go raid your recycling bin in your house. Egg cartons, milk cartons, cardboard boxes, paper rolls. You can glue and sticky tape them together to build a model of this. You can't build the real thing. Like I can't go to Bunnings and get some real pipes and electricity cables, but I can build a model out of materials in my recycling bin. On this page, it says, keep a log of how your construction is going. So I might write, at first, I went and got some things out of my recycling bin. Then I used sticky tape and glue to make a model of my invention. You can copy what I'm saying, or you can write your own process of creating your invention on this page. On the last page, you're going to take a photo of your invention and pop it here so I can see it, or by clicking this photo box, or a video of you explaining how your invention works. Remember, it's just a model. It doesn't have to actually work in real life. You're just kind of generally giving me a gist of how your invention might look if you got to create it. All right, have so much fun working through your design thinking process on Seesaw and creating your very own invention out of recyclable materials. Remember, we're answering the question, how can we help people who do not have electricity and get electricity to them? Invent something that can help do that. Have fun today, Year 1. Remember to click the green tick when you're finished to save your work. Otherwise, it won't get saved and I won't get to see it.